The governor has really had two signature initiatives over the past 2 years. One is systematically disinvesting in education at all levels in the state, and the other is imposing massive tax increases on middle-class families. And he's done that in order to fund massive tax breaks for big corporations. So many of us were hoping that we would see some meaningful discussion in the governor's speech this evening about actually improving education in this state, which would mean investing in education. It's clear the governor has no intention of doing that. It's clear that the governor has no intention of easing the tax burden on middle-class families in this state. The governor often talked in terms of analogies to families gathered around their dining room tables and planning for their financial futures. But this governor's policies have directly made it much more difficult for families in Michigan to make ends meet and plan for their financial futures. He has defunded their schools, resulting in teacher layoffs, resulting in school closures in many districts, while simultaneously imposing these huge tax increases on middle class and working families. Most of what we heard tonight was simply redundant with the governor's unfinished agenda from last term. He talked about roads, something he's been talking about already for 2 years, but of course he provided absolutely no details about where additional road funding is going to come from, other than saying taxes and fees without any specifics. So it's clear that the governor's idea of how to pay for roads is yet further increases in taxes and fees paid by middle class and working families. Talked about Blue Cross Blue Shield legislation, something that's been much discussed in the past. Talked about his renewed efforts to weaken our very successful no-fault insurance system here in the state of Michigan, further weakening the safety net for children who have been seriously injured in car accidents. And of course, he talked again about this extremist agenda to voucherize our school system through these educational achievement authorities. He certainly paid plenty of lip service to bipartisanship, but the proof's in the pudding. And the governor's actions these past 2 years have been all about ramming through legislation along party line votes, depending on Republicans only, without listening to the ideas that the Democratic caucuses in both the Senate and House have offered the governor and his staff repeatedly, without reaching out to us, without any willingness to compromise. So, it'll be very interesting to see whether the governor's actions change or whether we continue to see this disconnect between his empty rhetoric and his conduct.